morning, everybody, and I'll apologise right from the beginning that I have to go because I have another meeting this afternoon for Doctors for a Woman's Choice on Abortion that I've been the press officer and coordinator for 34 years. I'm hoping I can get somebody younger to take it on. Now, the health service is facing a double whammy. I'm not quite sure what a whammy is, but it keeps on coming up in the newspapers, so people must understand it. First, we've got the cuts called efficiency savings, which the head of the NHS, Sir David Nicholson, said are so big that they could be seen from outer space, and then said he was taken out of context. These cuts were designed by a management company, global management company called McKinsey. And they're so vague, they are not evidence-based, and yet the government have taken on what the last government had done, although they repudiated and said that they hadn't actually ordered this review by McKinsey, for which they paid a six-figure sum. And these cuts are just vague sort of aspirations, and the fact that all around the country things are falling apart in the health services, evidence, I think, that you cannot believe a word that David Cameron says. Privatisation is starting now and has been going on for some time, despite him swearing that we aren't going to privatise the NHS. Then the second real threat for the NHS is the Health and Social Care Bill. Now, this enormous piece of legislation, 350 pages long, has already had an almost unprecedented pause in its parliamentary passage. And this is because of the efforts of the, I think, Shirley Williams and Evan Harris getting things through the Lib Dems spring conference to get some amendments. They lost the one that said the NHS should be the preferred provider, but they got some through. And then the huge outcry that there has been from people all over the country about these changes, which are designed to privatise our NHS. There's no doubt about that. Lansley says he wants to do three things: cut bureaucracy, put power in the hands of clinicians, and put the patient at the heart of the NHS. None of these things require the law to be changed. They just need a change in the way the NHS is run. And so if he doesn't need the law, what is it there for? Well, it's there to make the NHS into a market, and as you read it, you can see this. Now, after this unprecedented pause, we had the listening exercise, a completely undemocratic thing. You couldn't find out from the Department of Health website where these events were happening. They all went through something called regional voices. How many of you have heard of regional voices? Not one person. No, one person at the back there. Or maybe he's just holding up the wall. And this is a voluntary organisation, and anyone who's watched Sir Stephen Bubb with his great thing about competition driving efficiency will see exactly why they did this. They have done a terrific PR exercise, and our media have fallen for it completely. So what we've got to do, I don't think they can possibly bring the bill back after its second committee stage before the end of this session of Parliament, which is the 18th of July, is going to come back in the autumn. So this summer we've got to get on to all the MPs. All the MPs from Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland have a right to vote, and it doesn't affect them. We must tell them to vote against it, because in Scotland they don't have it, and their results are much better than us. They don't have the purchaser-provider split. Their health service works perfectly well. We don't need all of this stuff to have a decent health service. Now, Anna Bevan said, the NHS will last as long as there are the folk with the faith to fight for it. And we are absolutely got to fight for it on the streets, in demos, in hospitals, outside hospitals, and within Parliament. And we've got a possibility of derailing it at the third reading, because We just need 49 MPs, English MPs, to vote against it, and all these from the other 3 countries. And if we did that, we could throw it out at third reading. It would be shameful if we have to rely upon the Lords to do something about it. Lord David Owen, a previous health minister, said in a blog called Fatally Flawed, this bill is of staggering ineptitude. And he was right, and he knows. He believes in the purchaser-provider split, but the rest of his things are correct. We've got to fight, we've got to make MPs understand that they really do have to change and represent the people who vote them into Parliament. So I have brought with me some literature, t-shirts, badges, and because I have to go to my next meeting, I'm going to give them to Bronwynheim Decide and Nick Bailey from Hackney Comp, who are here, so please do buy them. And also, I'd like to recommend to you this book, The Plot Against the NHS, which shows how the Department of Health has been infiltrated by McKinsey and the private sector. It's a good, easy read, takes about 4 hours, and I think it should open your eyes. I sent a copy to Ed Miliband. I've not had a response. Thank you.
Thank you very much.